To get started because we've got a lot to cover tonight. I did send out, let's do the minutes at the end so we can accommodate our guests here since we have so many. I don't have any mail or any news or anything. Does anyone have any updates from their respective boards? Okay. All right, so why don't we just jump into the application? So the first one is the Planning Department, the Community Housing Plan. Maren Toohill is here. I sent that out this afternoon. I'm not sure if I didn't get a chance to look at it either. But Maren, I don't know if you want to go through it anyway, and if anyone has questions, hopefully we can vote on it tonight, or if not, we'll invite you back.
Thank you very much. As Carolyn said, my name is Maren Toohill. I'm town planner for the town of Littleton. I've worked with many of you for years, and I'm meeting a couple of you for the first time, which is very nice. Let's see, the request is from the planning department for funds to hire a consultant to produce a housing production plan. Littleton's housing production plan. The latest one was adopted in 2014. What a housing production plan does is it includes public outreach and research and draft report and final report that outlines recommendations for how Littleton should meet the local housing need. It will look at things like where our gaps in housing are, who in Littleton needs different housing or different housing choices. So anyway, it's a municipal best practice to have a current housing production plan, and it makes it easier when we apply for example, for one-stop community grants. Adding basically bonus points to that process. And yes, my apologies for sending the information to Carolyn late. It's been a little odd being in and out of town hall, but that's just an excuse, not a good reason for being late with that. So I'm not sure how much depth you'd like me to go into on this.
Yeah, let's
Carolyn, I have a couple of questions about it. I looked at it briefly. I don't have it in front of me at the moment because I have so many files open. But Maren, how was this funded in the past, this plan?
I might have to go back to 2012 and check the funding source for that. Yeah.
It wasn't the CPC. Yeah, no.
At that date, I'm
probably not. Okay.
I can tell you.
So I guess it seemed to me that the application was pretty general, and I guess I'd like to know more specifically what this plan would cover. So I'm wondering if you could send us the old plan so we can see what the types of specifics that it covers. The other thing that I was thinking about as I read it, it seems to me that if CPC funds this, we should be funding either totally or mostly how the CPA defines community housing. And that's what we should be funding. It sounds like there may be other elements in this plan that might not be under the CPA definition. So I just wanted to raise that as a possible issue.
Okay. Certainly, I'm happy to send you the link to where our current housing production plan is posted on the town website. And I know that quite a few other communities utilize CPC funding for their housing production plans. But I'm happy to give you examples of those communities.
Hello, Maren. These are suggestions or recommendations but there's no enforcement in this, correct? Or there's no enforcement in the housing market. Anyways, we're trying to help Littleton get to a better place with their housing market.
Yes, help us understand what areas of housing to focus on for housing production. We've got a sense that we need more apartment units, and we know some will be coming online. But as far as ownership units, what do we need senior units, for example? And if we need senior units, what income level should we be targeting? Is it a broad range, or is it specific
Okay.
specific income levels that we should be targeting? And it will provide part of the report will be an implementation guide and give a series of steps for community best practices to implement, or best way to implement the steps that are recommended at the end of the housing production plan.
Okay. But there's no way to force developers to adhere. We can entice them, but we can't force them.
No, right. The town has the capacity to set the table. And in certain cases, the town could create the capacity to produce a certain type of housing unit. For example, if the town is interested in producing, I'll pick on deeply affordable senior housing. Is there certain town parcels available that we could consider accessing for that purpose?
Understood. Gotcha.
Yeah.
This is Sanjay. Just a couple of questions. So one, how often this study is done? When was the last time it was done?
Housing production plan is good for 5 years. The last time we adopted one was in 2015. So we're a little more than overdue. So, and I'll back up a little bit. One of the reasons Littleton hasn't done a new housing production plan is we're always juggling, what's the next priority? What's the next study that we need to do? And housing production plans can be very good for communities that do not meet the 10% threshold for affordable housing units on our subsidized housing inventory. Littleton is slightly over 10%, but we, at this point, since we're 11 years into our old housing production plan, we'd be well served to do a new one.
Maren, how long does it take to actually produce one of these plans? I'm just thinking that the town is changing rapidly, and we're looking at a lot of apartments coming online in the next 3 or 4 years. And does it make sense to go ahead with a production plan when there's so many units in the pipeline?
Excellent question. It'll take, up to 12 months to work through a housing production plan process between hiring the consultant and getting it completed and adopted. I was hesitant about asking for funding for a housing production plan the last couple of years because new units are on the horizon. But I think it would be very helpful to go through the process now, to have the discussions on, what housing needs will be unmet.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I just really quickly looked on the the coalition's data bank of the projects, and I got down to the E's, and it looks like Chatham, everyone down on the Cape, Chatham, Cohasset, then Concord, Dartmouth, East Hampton, they've all done housing production plans under CPA funding. So I'm sure there's probably a slew of others. So Linda, would you rather wait so you can look at what the plan is, or
I personally would, but if everyone else on the committee feels okay voting on it tonight, then they should go ahead and do that.
How does everyone else feel?
Well, it's a standard procedure, I think, that it's. I mean, the content is, or the format is predictable, so there's not going to be a lot of surprises in it. So, I don't really think that there's an issue with requiring it to wait another month. I think we could go ahead and authorize it.
Maren, how different is this than the regional housing services that used to be done? I know we did a couple of those through CPA.
So the regional housing services is now paid through the Affordable Housing Trust, but of course CPC funding from prior years. Let's see. So there's a consortium of, I think, 8 different communities now that have an intermunicipal agreement, and we hire a housing specialist. Currently, we're using Metro West Collaborative Development as the consultant. They offer meetings usually every other month. Several staff and usually Affordable Housing Trust members attend those meetings, those remote meetings, find out, what other communities are doing for affordable housing. And so that's an ongoing service. We pay somewhere around, I think it's up to $5,000 a year for those services. And their services include some monitoring of affordable units and some regional outreach programs, fall workshop and spring workshop every so often.
So it is different. It is a different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Jeff, do you have any feeling one way or the other? Or?
I don't. Although I would say from the committee's point of view, and Maren, don't hate me.
I know
this isn't a time-sensitive ask. I mean, it could be asked, for next year. And the only reason I say this is because we have a lot of stuff up front of us. We don't have a way of sorting out our priorities at the beginning of this meeting. So, and since we've just been presented with it, I think I'd go with Linda and wait for the next meeting. And then we have the choice of whether we fund it through what bucket we fund it from. And that bucket could be the Affordable Housing Trust, funds. So I don't know. I mean, I'll go along with whatever, but those are my thoughts.
Andrew?
I personally, if our housing rep is, ready to go forward on it, Bartlett, if you're comfortable, I know Maren has done her due diligence and I've reviewed the application. I'm comfortable, but if the committee would like to postpone, we can certainly do that. I'm at the mercy of the committee.
Yeah, as I said to Maren, we have the March meeting that we can vote on this. Is just give us a little, now that it's done, you've done your steps. So if we can just go and maybe, chew on it a little bit more and, we can look at what's in the housing production plan.
Yep, and I appreciate the deadline of having it in for this meeting. So
yeah,
didn't put it off any longer.
Yeah,
I'm happy to answer any questions and be prepared for the next meeting.
Okay. Why don't we do that? Why don't we just defer it until our March meeting, but definitely it will be on the agenda then for either an up or down. I think that's probably the way to go. All right. So in the meantime, if anyone has questions, we can pass those on to Maren at the planning department, and you'll let us know where the link is to.
Mhm.
Is it on the planning board site somewhere?
It used to be off on the left-hand side of the planning board page, but we had cleaned up a lot of the older links, so I can't promise it's
Okay.
live at the moment. I will
Okay.
find it and send it to you, though. Yeah.
And we'll pass that on. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, if you're okay with that, we will see you in March. March 18th is the next meeting.
Okay. Sounds good.
No,
Thank you.
yes, March 18th. Feels like March already. Yes, March 18th.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Maren.
Yeah.
Thanks, Maren.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay, good. So we will defer that. The next one is the school. Steve Marks can't make it tonight, so let's do the Conservation Commission applications next. So it looks like we have Tim is with us, and we have a number of I'm assuming the Lakes people here too. I just want to make sure I have everybody. Okay. Let's see. I got confused. I had my spreadsheet wrong. So the first one on the agenda, I know, Tim, do you have any specific way you want to do these? Do we want to knock out the Forge Pond stuff first, or Long
Sure.
Lake, or?
Yeah, why don't we do the lakes first, and then we'll get into the boardwalks and
Okay.
the terrestrial herbicides
Okay.
after that.
So the first one is the Long Lake Management funding. Forge Pond Management. This is the one that we had talked about, and we said, yes, it was an eligible project, but there was some questions on whether Westford would be willing to chip in.
Yeah, and so since the last CPC meeting, Conscom met with Dave Barr and went over his request for how to amend the language within the applications. And they ultimately landed on that they wanted to move forward submitting the applications as they had been previously submitted, with no changes to the language.
So does that mean they don't have an answer from Westford?
So that's, I was about to get to that. I spoke with Westford's conservation agent, Matt Salem, and they have not had, they were supposed to see, their CPC was supposed to meet last night, but they moved it to tomorrow night. So they haven't had a meeting since our last CPC meeting. He said that, so I asked him about, I enlightened him to the applications that we submitted and asked him how he thought that Westford CPC would react. And he said he thinks that they would be favorable in splitting the cost, but he can't say for sure. So what I'm proposing is that in the event that Westford decides that they don't want to match funds for the lake management plan or for the herbicide treatment, that we would go ahead and conduct both of those on the Littleton side of the lake. Obviously, it's not ideal. The dollars don't go as far as if there was a herbicide treatment on the entire lake, or if there's a lake management plan for the entire lake, but it is still beneficial.
So that was for the herbicide. I'm sorry, the plan itself, we would just do on the Littleton side?
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing, we could postpone it till our next meeting because Westford's supposed to meet tomorrow night. It's one possibility.
I know we're kind of chasing each other here.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, can I speak to the management plan?
Yes, if you have some information on the funding of it, yes.
So, Tim, I don't know whether Matt, CPC, Westford CPC is still meeting, but the Friends of Porch Pond and Westford Health Lakes and Ponds Collaborative proposed 2 requests for funding from Westford CPC, but they weren't the lake management plan, because the lake management plan got moved up into this year after the needs assessment date for the Westford CPC. Did Matt say that there's a proposal for the management plan before the CPC for tomorrow?
He didn't. He just said that they were he thinks they would be favorable to the idea.
I think they would.
Splitting the costs.
Right. The applications had to be in December 9th, though, according to, unless they would allow something new. I'd be happy to talk to him and see if we could put in, if they would consider an application that we put in tomorrow. That would be fine with me. I'd be happy to put in the application. Relative to where things, absent that, Friend of Forge Pond would, which is environmental group for the whole lake, for all the communities that are affected by the lake and use the lake, will seek additional matching funding. Currently, Friends of Forge Pond can commit to $17,500, which is matching funding for the proposed cost of the plan. Currently, the plan is proposed to cost $35,000, and Friends of Forge Pond can commit to matching half. So half Friends of Forge Pond, half Littleton CPC. We would continue to look for additional matching funding, for instance, from Westford CPC. And I would request that the full $35,000 allocation be approved, with the remainder, the second half only being spent when matching funding is available, for instance, from Westford CPC. One of our expectations is that some of the recommendations that come out of this plan could be for appropriate further assessments and planning, such as, for instance, wetland watershed assessment. And if you saw fit to approve the full 35 request, and Westford also provided $35,000, that would provide $52,000 for further planning, such as a watershed assessment.
Well, if we approve the management plan, it would have to be used for the management plan.
Yes, normally a watershed assessment is part of a management plan, lake management plan, for lakes that have watersheds that are more than 10 times the size of, in general, but especially for lakes that have watershed sizes that are more than 10 times the size of the lake. The watershed is very critical to what's happening in the lake. And in the case of Forge Pond, it's 70 times, the watershed is 70 times the size of the lake. So typically a watershed assessment would be part of the management plan, and this could be phase 2 of the management plan.
So is the watershed assessment currently in the application we have in front of us?
No.
No.
That's an issue.
Which Dave, if if within the findings report of the lake management plan, it says that there needs to be a watershed assessment, that's something that we could think about in putting in an application to CPC in the future, whether it's the fall or next year.
I agree.
Yeah.
And
If we had to do that.
in that case, it seems to me, I don't know if everyone agrees, that the CPC should fund half of it, and the other half is going to come from either Westford CPC or the Friends of Forge Pond. I don't know. That just seems the way it's playing out.
Right. We had asked to include the watershed assessment in the application, but that wasn't deemed to be appropriate.
Right. So I'm looking on the Westford agenda for CPA tomorrow, and they don't have anything about the management plan. I don't think you're going to get them to get put a application through tomorrow night. It's only for the herbicide treatment.
And also the H&H, the engineering study.
And, yes, and that too, which we've already approved.
Right. No, I agree with you.
All right, so I think we'll wait for the Long Lake Forge Pond management plan. I think we either have to decide that we put through this 35 and it goes as far as it goes, but I think you're right, Linda. If they decide to move on, I don't think we should, there's plenty of time now. If there's a watershed plan that is done, we should be able to push back on Westford and say, hey, we've already done the upfront work.
I do have a couple questions about how you would view the work to be done in view of the way the application is written.
Okay.
Just two, basically. One is there's a list of relative costs of the different elements in the plan. I assume that there's flexibility in how those are allocated. That's not a strict, that's a likely breakdown, but it's not a strict requirement.
Yeah, no, the plan, to do the plan, it would be $35,000. So
I understand, but it's got,
it's just for budgeting. No, we would just expect that whatever work they do has to be $35,000.
All right. And then my other question was, if, for instance, there's existing data that's already available for some of these assessments that are listed. For instance, we will have aquatic plant mapping as part of the herbicide treatments, and there would not necessarily be a reason to do them again. And similarly, hydrologic and nutrient budget was done by Westford on their own last year, which may be deemed to be current enough to be used, the data from that to be used in the plan. If that's the case, then potentially some other elements that would also typically be parts of lake management plans, such as stormwater, runoff, and that kind of thing. There's, I assume, flexibility in terms of that sort of not needing to duplicate what's already available and put in additional elements that are normally often part of lake management plans that are not listed here.
Tim, does that sound reasonable? I don't. Or would
I don't. Dave, do you have something specific that you wanted to see in the lake management plan that wasn't there? Otherwise, is your request that if the budget is relevant today and that gets stricken from the plan, and we have those extra monies that we already had allocated towards that we can kind of open-endedly use that to include other things within the plan? That's your request? Yeah, if it turned out we had data available for some of these, we didn't have to do the data collection again. It would make sense to use that money for other elements that are often part of a lake management plan that is deemed to be appropriate, such as
tracking data collection on stormwater and runoff source identification, that sort of thing.
I think we want the plan to be as comprehensive as possible, and it'll be really up to the consultant that we wind up hiring through the commission to really determine what is going to be within the plan. But we're going to hire somebody experienced in, conducting surveys and plans like this. So I would imagine it'll be fairly comprehensive, Dave. But yeah, I mean, if data is already in existence, we'd hope that they'd have access to it and incorporate it. And if we can make it even more comprehensive, if data is already established, absolutely. But that'll be a commission level part of the project, working with the consultant. This will just mainly be the broad approval of funding the plan itself through CPA.
Yes, great. Okay, yeah, thanks.
Okay. Jeff, I know you were the one that really brought up the the sharing with Westford. Are you satisfied with this, or is it still kind of uncertain in your mind? You're muted.
So we do have 17,500 that's committed.
No, Jeff, you're on mute still.
No, Dave's scenario of the matching of the Forge Pond groups, that goes some way to mollifying that concern.
Okay.
And I think worst case scenario too, what we could do is plan right now for Westford kicking in their match. But if they don't, we can just be prepared to do our best on our side. But we can plan for the best for now, and what's that saying? Hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Well, I mean, we've got matching funding. It really doesn't make sense to do a plan for half the lake. That's not really.
Certainly less than ideal.
Yeah.
And the Littleton would be paying for half of it, and their funding would be matched.
Okay.
I mean, there are times when Westford has paid for things and not asked for. Like I said, they paid $30,000 last year for a nutrient and hydrologic balance without requesting matching funding from Littleton. We've gone back and forth on paying for different things individually, and it pretty well balances out.
Okay.
In this case, we do have matching funding for half the cost.
Okay.
All right. So Forge Pond. I don't think so. We didn't vote on the eligibility. I think we started to, and we didn't. So we have both the eligibility and the funding request for this one to go through. So I think we sound like we're pretty much in favor of moving ahead with this tonight. So that we're talking now about the Forge Pond Management Plan. So do we want to vote on the eligibility?
I move that we vote on the eligibility for the Forge Pond Management Plan.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Jeff, a second by Andrew to vote to approve the Forge Pond Lake Management Plan. We'll do a roll call. Linda?
Yes.
Bartlett?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Sanjay?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
And Carolyn is a yes. Okay, so that's 7-0. And then we have the funding, which is for $35,000.
Make a motion that the committee approve the funding application for the Forge Pond Lake Management Plan in the amount of $35,000 to be taken from the Open Space Reserve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
That's Sam. we have a motion by Andrew, a second by Sam. Linda,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Sanjay,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
and Carolyn is a yes, so that's 7. Okay, so that one's all set. We'll go ahead with that one. We'll
Thank you.
put that one forth to town meeting. Now we have the herbicide treatments that, as Tim mentioned, he changed the dollar amount and they have not changed otherwise. They are substantially the same as they were before. We voted the eligibility for Long Lake, and I think that's then when we kind of stopped. So, are there any further questions? I mean, we talked about this quite a bit. I don't know if there was anything.
How did the funding change?
It went to the Long Lake is now 45,000. I think it was 42. They added 3,000. And then the Forge Pond went up to 35 from, was that 32?
Yep.
So they just added another $3,000 for just in case funds.
Yeah. Wiggle room.
Yeah.
I have couple questions. Again, on how it would be viewed.
All right, if it's okay.
I mean, I don't have to. I'm just kind of, I guess, raising my hand. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
There's a timeline that's laid out for July and August for treatments, and those are, I assume, flexible. They could be the work could be done at different times, different months during the year.
I guess I would say yes. Committee, all right. I mean, I think it's until the funds are, I mean, because you could, like we've done in the past, sometimes you have to halt a project and continue it. We would just keep the money out there until it's spent.
Okay.
So somebody jump in if you don't agree with me.
No, that's
Did you have anything else, Dave?
Just two other things. The activities in this case would be specifically herbicides, not any other plant mitigation, right?
Correct.
Okay. That was one of the things that as we had talked to you about last summer, and the suggestion was that we make the requests more flexible, but the Conservation Commission wanted to stay with strictly herbicides.
Correct.
And then my other question is, can these, if you decide to approve the funding, can the funding be from a balance that I understand that there are some balances that would allow spending to occur after town meeting without having to wait for the beginning of fiscal year 27?
Yeah, we typically do from the reserve account, which means it's the money that's there. I'm hoping that we have enough.
The reason I'm asking is because for some of the plants, it would be appropriate to do the treatments in June or even late May, rather than waiting until July. By July, it is rather late.
Yeah, no, we have in both open space and undesignated, we have enough to cover these. So we'll do it from the reserve so that they can be spent right
Okay.
after town meeting.
All right, thank you.
John, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. You're allowed to speak if you have something to say.
Quite all right. Thank you, Carolyn. Just wanted to weigh in and say that it's likely that being herbicide treatments, that it would be earlier in the season, typically, rather than waiting for things to mature. They like to catch things very early on.
Okay.
We also helpful at Long Lake to coordinate with the beach activities.
Okay. So Tim, you take note of that.
Yep.
All right, anyone else have anything to say, or are we ready to vote on these? I think we've talked about these pretty extensively, so. Why don't we start with Forge Pond?
If we're talking about Forge Pond, I have another question.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. The application shows a request for 35,000, which would, in the application, it's added to the 20,000 that you have approved to be reallocated from the original eco harvesting request to be used for herbicides. We don't yet know if a $55,000 herbicide treatment is appropriate for 2026. It may be, or it once we do the plant survey, we'll know whether or not that's appropriate. So I'm just asking. I assume that the 35 would be used for herbicides only. Can the 20,000 that's listed there as having been reallocated from the eco harvesting be determined as to what the best use for it is, whether it's herbicides or eco harvesting?
Well, I thought you guys had it, we changed it from eco harvesting to, I'd have to go back and see what we said.
At the time, at the time we came in this fall, we didn't know we were going to have this request for herbicide funding from the Conservation Commission, and absent any other funding, we wanted to be able to do something this summer, and so we asked if we could continue to use the 20,000 that had been reallocated, allowed last summer, but wasn't able to be spent.
I'll have to look it up and see exactly how we voted that in. I can't remember if we voted it to be specifically for herbicide or just to be able to include. I don't know if anybody remembers. No.
I think what wound up happening was we approved it for mechanical removal solely based on the language of the application, and then down the road we determined that, and then town council ultimately sided with us that herbicides were an allowable use. So Dave, I would assume down the road, I mean, this year we're planning to use that full 35 for herbicide treatment of Forge Pond. But if down the road we wanted to use it for either mechanical or herbicides within the 3-year realm that it's approved, I would imagine it'd be allowable.
The 20,000.
Yeah, in the original intent, could be used for, shall be used for eco harvesting, doesn't reference any other treatment. Could be interpreted that it would be for both.
Okay, thank you.
Got that, Tim?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're back to the Forge Pond herbicide. We need to do both eligibility and funding. And this is for $35,000. Oh, open space, or did we think we were going to take it out of undesignated?
I think that's where we were kind of leaning last time around, just as we were talking about when it comes to land preservation in the future, kind of leaving as much of that intact as possible, for invasive.
Yeah, so the two herbicide treatments together are 80,000. And I believe we have about 315 in undesignated, so it's certainly.
So both of those could be spent after town meeting without having to wait for FY.
Yeah, I think for any of these. And then we also have the herbicide treat. Well, let's do these. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay, so Forge Pond, we want to vote on eligibility.
I'll make a motion that the committee approve the eligibility request for the Forge Pond herbicide treatment for calendar year 2026.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Andrew, a second by Bartlett to approve the eligibility. Linda?
Yes.
Bartlett?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Sanjay?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
And Carolyn is a yes. Okay. Funding? Right, Andrew?
I'll make a motion that the committee approve the funding request from the Conservation Commission for herbicide treatment at Forge Pond in the amount of $35,000 from the undesignated reserve.
Second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Andrew, a second by Linda to approve the funding request. Linda?
Yes.
I'm going to, Carolyn's a yes. Bartlett?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Sanjay?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Okay, 7-0. Okay, so Forge Pond is done.
Thank you.
Long Lake, same story. Just a little bit more money. It's 45,000. We did vote the eligibility at the last meeting, so this would just be for the funding request.
Perhaps the email is not updated. Where it was eligibility was voted. So just seeing in one of the emails, it says 218 to vote for.
Yeah, there was one I missed, and I didn't realize it till I was doing the minutes. Let me just go back. I got the minutes open here. I had flip-flopped 2 of them. Long Lake deemed it projects.
I think we may have done funding now that I think of it.
Did we do funding for the?
No, I don't think so.
I think we only did, there was only funding done for the lake management plan at Long Lake.
Oh, you know.
That's right.
Yes. Oh, yeah, because we made the motion and we got the second, but before the vote was done, we said, wait, stop, and we did not vote on the motion.
Because
we were talking about, that's when the Clean Lakes Committee wanted some of the wording changed. And so we
Okay.
said, well, hang on, just, go back and figure
Mhm.
it out. So we made the motion, but we never voted on the motion. So I guess we make the motion again.
Sounds good.
All right, Andrew.
I'll make a motion that the committee approve the funding request from the Conservation Commission for herbicide treatment at Long Lake for calendar year 2026 in the amount of $45,000 from the undesignated reserve.
Second, anyone?
I second it.
Thank you. We have a motion by Andrew, a second by Sanjay, and that's from the undesignated reserve. Linda?
Yes.
Carolyn's a yes. Bartlett?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Sanjay?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
And Andrew?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you also.
Thank you, everybody.
Phew, now we can talk about something different. This is the herbicide treatment of terrestrial invasive species, and this is at the Hartwell, Yap, and Newtown Hill Conservation, and we haven't talked about this one yet, Tim.
No, we haven't. So what we'd be asking for is $60,000 to do multiple multi-year herbicide treatments at each of these properties. We had a survey done for general locations of populations of terrestrial invasives at these properties, and we've really picked these properties because they rank high on. We used the Metro West Conservation Alliance. They put together a tool that showed all of our conservation properties and which ones rank the highest in biodiversity. And these properties all ranked, I think, above 94% in the percentile for biodiversity. And so with terrestrial invasive species, they're a threat to pushing out the native populations and disturbing that biodiversity by creating these monocultures of invasive plants. And so that's why we chose these locations. We threw in there a bunch of the invasive species that we plan to go after. I don't know if we'll go after all of them, but those are some of the more aggressive ones. And so that's why we included those within our funding request.
Questions from anyone?
I'd just like to make you aware, Tim, or maybe you are aware of Sudbury Valley Trustees challenges out at Smith property with a similar proposal that they used a certified contractor to do it, and they had a tough time with one individual to get it
really?
okay. Oh yes, they had to really put forth a lot of comment and support, chemical support and everything. Yeah, they had to go through the mill.
Yeah,
You might be in touch if it happens. But yeah, they had a tough time out there, even with a certified contractor and very specific programs and treatment.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And that's why we requested, the multi-year, multiple treatments for these populations, because we anticipate that some of them will be, there will be quite a bit of regrowth and they're aggressive colonizers and recon.
No, I'm not talking about regrowth. I'm talking about neighbors.
Oh, neighbors. I'm sorry. I
Neighbors.
was talking about, I see. So you're saying the abutters were giving them a problem?
Yes.
I gotcha.
I mean, Sudbury Valley is a trusted conservation organization, and they had to go above and beyond what they usually do, which is a lot.
Yeah, in the past, so
I mean, I'm on board for you. I'm just letting you know.
No, I appreciate it. And if we do go after populations that are close to abutters, a lot of times we do make the neighbors aware. And sometimes there's populations that span multiple properties, right? So for example, over at Mill Hill, we had Japanese knotweed treated. But it spanned off the property onto the abutter's property as well. So we reached out to the abutter. We had an MOU with the abutter to also treat the invasives on his property as well. Understanding that probably wouldn't be possible here with the CPC funds, but just using that as an example that we like to make the abutters feel comfortable. So I will thank you for bringing that up, and we'll definitely keep that in the back of our heads.
Okay.
Do you have to get permits for this kind of stuff?
If they're within wetlands or within the buffer zones of the jurisdictional wetlands, we will have to get a permit from the Conservation Commission for the treatments. Yep.
How did you come up with the amount?
It's a good question. We did not get a formalized quote on this. We kind of left it open-ended because while we have an idea of what invasives exist on these properties, it would take a better survey, a more in-depth survey to get a more formalized quote, an accurate quote. And I don't know, if you look out the window, we've got so much snow, it might be a while before we can get up there and actually get a good idea of the populations. So we just threw out this kind of an arbitrary number, but we know that 60,000 would last us a couple of years based on some of the other invasive, terrestrial invasives that we have contracts for and have been treated with herbicides the last couple of years.
Okay. I sort of witnessed a mitigation across the street at the Northern Bank property. There was a huge growth of Japanese knotweed, and which I had been battling on my own just to keep it off of my property, and it just never ends. But anyway, I did notice, they were using some so-called organic products from the UK and blah blah blah. And the spring, well, they've completely developed that site. I hope they got rid of it, because it could be a big problem for them.
Yeah, I think as a part of that permit, they were required to remove a certain depth of soils where those populations were, and then that should be a part of their order of conditions that there's a multi-year treatment over there. I know they had to isolate the soil in a specific stockpile separate from the other soil stockpiles on site. But yeah, knotweed's a tough one, and that's one that we do anticipate. Like we're having knotweed treated over on Lakeshore Drive right now, and gosh, are we in our second or third year? But it's one that we anticipate we're going to have to do for multiple years. I will say, I have seen some surprising success with hand removal of knotweed. I don't know. I think he might actually be in the attendees, but yeah, Rob Rounce actually he did some mechanical removal or hand pulling of knotweed over on Beach Drive, and he was very persistent about it. And it actually revegetated with pokeweed, jewelweed, a bunch of other natives pretty well. I was very impressed. So,
which pokeweed really isn't that much fun either, but you know,
no,
it's not
fun to brush up against either.
Not as bad as
you're close.
No, it is a matter of persistence. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm actually glad that this is on the radar screen, because they're just, you know, you drive around town and there's just pieces of knotweed that look really bad.
And there's so much like art. It's a shame. And it doesn't, you know, it's not just the conservation properties, but terrestrial invasives, they're everywhere. And you really have to prioritize which populations you go after, because is there enough money in the world to go after all these invasives, because there's so much. Yeah, so we really have to prioritize. But we talked with the folks over at LCT a bunch the last, I'd say 6 months, and trying to figure out, you know, how to expand our efforts to really tackle this problem. And this is what we've come up with.
Great.
In committee, I mean, we could always request, you know, in 2 years or whatever, every year for some kind of update. You know, if we're not comfortable with the dollar amount, but I mean, if this is going to be for 3 years, that's, you know, 20,000 a year, which is about what we're spending for the other projects. So I don't think it's too far off the, I mean, I don't really know, but I guess. Does anyone have any more questions? Anyone uncomfortable with this, or we want to go forward?
I think it's a good investment because the invasives just keep coming.
Just a quick question. So the other projects, just annual request, and for this project, why multi-year request?
That's a good question. So a lot of the past invasive populations that we've had treated, we've had funded through our budget. And during the budget process this year, they were trying to identify areas where we can request funds from other places outside of out of our budget request. And one of the places they identified was CPC. And so they had asked us if that's something that we can do to help cut the deficit to balance the budget. So we had been getting, I think, gosh, maybe like $5,000-6,000 each year to go after terrestrial invasives within our budget. We were planning to expand that this year, and we were told we had to request a service level budget, and so we were able to request funds for repeated treatments for those ones that we have currently been in a multi-year treatment plan with, but none extra.
Which technically we're not supposed to be supplanting town funding, but that's all right. Well, we do these a lot anyways, but all right. Any other questions? Do we want to see how a vote goes? We have to do both eligibility and funding.
I'll make a motion that the committee approve the eligibility request for the herbicide treatment of terrestrial invasive species at the Yap, Hartwell, and Newtown Hill properties as an open space project.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Andrew and a second by Sam to approve the eligibility. Linda?
Yes.
Okay, Carolyn's a yes. Bartlett?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Sanjay?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
And Andrew?
Yes.
Okay. Are we going to do this from open space?
I imagine probably
Well, that was
in
your motion. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
that was for the eligibility component, but for the funding, we can do maybe undesignated.
Yeah, because that's another invasive species. If we want to keep all the invasive species coming out of undesignated for. Okay.
Sounds good.
So do we have a vote on the funding?
I'll make a motion that the committee approve the application for funding for the herbicide treatment of terrestrial invasive plant species at the Yap, Hartwell, and Newtown Hill properties in the amount of $60,000 to be taken from the undesignated reserve.
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Andrew, a second by Linda. Linda?
Yes.
Carolyn's a yes. Bartlett?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Sanjay?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
And Andrew?
Yes.
All right, that one was easier.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, so check that one off. All right, so that's all of the invasives. Now we have boardwalks. So Tim, we have boardwalk at Webster Woods. Let's do
Yeah.
that.
All right, let's start with that one. What was it last year or the year before we acquired Webster Woods through the help of LCT and Jim O'Neill, identified areas where the trail system could use boardwalks. And so we've identified 6 different areas that could use boardwalks, and they should show on, I think we have 4 of them shown on the map within the application. The other 2 are not shown. The other 2 that are on the orange trail, that's the Foster Street connector. We are in talks with, actually, we heard that the folks over at 300 Foster are favorable to us, or to giving us public access from 300 Foster. There's an area that you can park probably 2 or 3 cars off of Foster Street. They're not going to give us an easement. They don't want to give the permanent rights, but we are going to enter into a license agreement with them to get access from Foster Street, because it's more ideal for parking there than off of Bulkley. And so there's 2 areas along that orange trail connector to Foster Street that could use boardwalks that aren't shown on this map. Yep, that's the map right there. And so I apologize for the resubmission of applications. At the time that we originally submitted our application, we only had heard from one of the builders that we reached out to and got quotes from them. Since then, we got another quote that came in, luckily much cheaper, and so we submitted the revised applications for both the Webster Woods boardwalks and the Castle in the Trees boardwalk. And so we are requesting $138,000 to construct 6 boardwalks at Webster Woods, which will be fully ADA compliant boardwalks. We will receive building permits from them or for them, and everything, as well as permits from the Conservation Commission.
So I have one question on the ADA portion.
Sure.
If you make the boardwalk ADA accessible, is it accessible from the parking lot through?
Like, is the whole trail system ADA? Is that what you're asking?
How does that work?
It wouldn't be, no.
No.
I believe it's a requirement from the the building department side that the boardwalks need to be ADA compliant. In an ideal world, the entire trail system would be ADA
Right,
compliant,
right.
but it is not at this time.
But can someone park in the parking lot and get, I mean, is it a ramp or is it a step? I mean, so if you're in a wheelchair, can you really make it, is it really a, you know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you're trying to say. That connector that goes from 300 to Foster, that's it's a maintained, it's a mode area. I don't know what it's like to use a wheelchair to access, so I don't know that I would have the best opinion of whether or not it's wheelchair accessible. It may be, it may not be.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what the definition of the ADA is for something like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we just know that the plan for the boardwalk that we're going to be submitting is going to be an ADA boardwalk as far as the building department sees.
Okay. Does anyone else have a question before? I have a couple of other things.
Well, even if it's not wheelchair accessible, an ADA boardwalk for elder hikers would be a help.
Mm. Right. I also had a question from someone about the cost. I think now with the change to 138, when you put all of them together, it's about six, what did it say? It's like 200 feet? 200. So it's about $690 per square foot, which seemed high.
For lineal foot.
For linear, yes. Oh yeah, yes, right. But when you got the cost, did they actually cost it out, or is this kind of a general budget?
They sent us a quote, and it was all line item detailed.
Hmm.
So is it a specific type of construction that they're proposing to you?
Yeah, so they actually gave us, I think it was 2 options for different design plans, both ADA compliant, difference in materials, and this was the cheaper option.
So making it ADA, does that increase the cost a little bit?
Just from what could be a general boardwalk, certainly. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm assuming this is prevailing wages if it's being done for the town?
Believe so.
That'll do it. I don't know if anyone, I see Jim O'Neill on the call here. I don't know if Jim, if you have any comments? You're muted if you, I think I made him okay to talk. I've lost mine. No, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute so I can see. There's nothing. I don't know. Does anyone else have concerns over the dollar amount?
Just a quick question. So is 138,000, is it the full cost or is it shared with someone else too, the total cost?
Nope, that is the full cost. We're not sharing costs with anybody else.
And what's the timeline on the construction?
I believe we had it. I think the construction was supposed to occur in the timeline this fall. I think we had submitted it as
It's
is September. Because we still have to get the permits, we still have to get the building permit, we still have to get the conservation commission permit, which we can do before FY27. But again, and I don't know if these ones we really have that same concern that with the same as the lakes, where we need to get them done like right away. I think if it's fine if these ones, you know, don't come out of reserves and need to wait until FY27 to send out the RFP and everything.
Are you waiting for quotes from anybody else? Or
we are waiting quotes from others as well. I think we have 2 more that we're waiting on. So it is possible that the cost for this actually may come down. And we tried to emphasize when we sent out the costs, because there was no site walks done for these. We tried to emphasize, please give us a conservative estimate.
You've touched on one of the comments that I would have is that, does this have to be done this year? The next comment is, could it be done in phases?
I mean, I think it could. It might not be ideal. I'd have to go back and look and see if there's like mobilizing costs, which, you know, if it's done in phases would, you know, would add additional costs. But I suppose that it can be done in phases if needed.
yeah, because we have, let me try this again. Share. Let's see, go back up here. Yeah, so there's really 3 loops. Blue, which looks like it's just 2, each one has 2 separate. Is it 2 separate pieces, or how does it work? So this is the orange one. So here's a boardwalk here.
Yep.
Oh, from B to B? Is that what it is?
No, that's just the general location of it. It doesn't show the span of it.
So it'd be kind of like this portion here.
I don't think it's that whole part, but it's in that on that section of the blue trail. Yeah.
So if we had one coming on the, what was they, blue or orange? Blue, yellow, and orange. So you're saying like the Foster Street one is really one of the more important, right? Because that's the nice section that they have nice parking and everything, right? With good access there.
So we don't have that yet. We're still working with town council to put together the license agreement, and going back and forth with 300 Foster and their lawyers on coming to an amenable license agreement to get that access. There is access from the Orange Trail from Bulkley Road. It's just that the parking situation over there isn't as ideal as it is over on Foster Street. You have to you basically have to park on the shoulder on Bulkley.
Are these trails extant? I mean, have they been constructed or?
Yep. So Jim O'Neill is actually, I think with the exception of, and Jim, I know you're on the call, or you are on the call. I don't know if the full extent of the orange connector to Foster Street is constructed yet, but the others, the orange trail coming from Bulkley, the blue loop, the yellow, and the red, we walked with Jim, a member of the Conservation Commission, and Lauren and others.
So I know that. Oh, go ahead. Well, I'm just thinking about. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, Jim has done a lot of work making these trails as accessible as they can be. I think he said they could still use some more work just to make them easier to walk through, but they are, because in some areas there is some encroaching vegetation, but we were able to walk through it, I mean, fairly easily after Jim's work that he did there.
So recently you had a big boardwalk project in, I don't know what the parcel was, the Brown property from Tehadawon over to, the Foster Street development there. And I happened to be on it when it was under construction. It was really quite an undertaking. I mean, how does that compare with, I mean, can you extrapolate costs from that onto this?
Not so much. A lot of the boardwalks that we've had done in the past have been volunteers doing boardwalks. Jim has done many of them.
Thank you, Jim.
Yes, a big thank you to Jim. I believe we have had some boardwalks that we have paid individuals to do. However, I don't think they went through as formalized of a process to basically require the cost that these ones do, to go out as an RFP and to be fully, entirely ADA compliant. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jim.
And I will point out, I did get a text from Jim. He can hear us, but he can't, his microphone isn't functioning tonight.
Yeah, and I think that was the concern, the person that I spoke to was, we'd have Eagle Scouts doing these, we would have, volunteers, of course, the cost and, getting even the material would have been cheaper. And I think, but if we have to go through a formal process, we have to have, prevailing wage, we have to have it, constructed to certain standards. I suppose everything like that would just up the cost.
Exactly. And this kind of stems from, I sat down with Henry Fontaine, the building commissioner, and in the past, we haven't received building permits for all of our boardwalks. But he made it clear that we really should, and that they really should all be fully ADA compliant. So this is kind of the start of a new phase of getting into contracts with builders to have these things constructed.
And then so this is 138,000. If you get the other two, quotes back, and one of them is less, I suppose at town meeting, what would we do? How would we handle that committee?
We could even keep it as is, and if we don't wind up spending the money, it'll get returned to the open space bucket or undesignated. Well, actually, we can't use open space for this, but undesignated or recreational bucket.
Recreation, yeah. Yeah, and I was just thinking, to make it, once we get up to town meeting floor and they see 138, and if we think we're only going to be spending 110, we could always say that, we have another quote for 110, and whatever doesn't get used can go back. It's just kind of hard, having to vote in a figure now, which could change between now and May 7th or whatever the date is. But we could certainly, it could even be amended on the floor if we wanted to, but I don't know if we really have to go through all that.
If you really wanted to, we could also, my understanding is we have a March meeting.
Yeah.
If we really wanted to push this until March, we anticipate that we would have the remaining quotes by that date. We would hope so.
We'd hope so.
I think it's been about a month since we initially asked about quotes.
Maybe we could do that. I mean, we could vote the eligibility through, so that's done. And then all we would have to do is if there was a different figure, we could vote that in. And then if it was, just thinking if it was less money, it would be more palatable at town meeting. I mean, $138,000 seems like a lot of money to the uninitiated. And I think we need to point out those things that you said, that, it's building part, it's a much more formal process. It's not, a couple of Eagle Scouts out, hammering in nails or whatever you do. So I think we need to make that apparent.
Yeah. No, I just about had a stroke with the first, set of quotes that we got, seeing those dollar amounts. So
Yes.
I'm happy that these, that the most recent quote came in what it did.
Yeah, no, I was glad to say so too. I said $230,000. Oh my God, you put sticks all over the place. Okay, so why don't I think I would feel better like waiting. I mean, this is all done, so all you'd have to do is put in those dollar figures. So it's not like it's going to be a lot of work on you or on the committee. But why don't we do the eligibility anyway, so we have that out of the way. If everyone's amenable to that. I mean, I don't.
Sounds good.
Like, so this is Webster Woods. All right.
All right. Shall I make a motion?
Go ahead.
All right. I'll make a motion that the committee approve the eligibility request for the Webster Woods Boardwalk under the recreational category.
I second.
Okay. We have a motion by Andrew, a second by Jeff, and this is the Webster Woods eligibility request. Linda?
Yes.
Carolyn's a yes. Bartlett?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Sanjay?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
And Andrew?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So sorry, Tim, you're gonna have to come back one more time.
Not a
But,
problem at all.
like, it should be easy. And if we don't have quotes, then we'll vote this one through and see what happens.
Sounds good.
Castle in the Trees, similar. Let's see. I'm gonna bring this one up too. Let me share my screen. Okay. So this one came in at 55.5, right? At the end?
Yes. Yep.
I'll go back up to see if this.
Yep. And so I had spoke with Mark Rombacher about creating a trail that goes from Castle in the Trees and ties in behind the library into the trail system behind the library, so that the kids can walk and not have to be walking on the sidewalk next to the street. A little safer for them to walk on a trail behind the library to get there. And they can also access, walk to the school if they wanted to. And so part of that trail, we would need to build a boardwalk on that Castle in the Trees property. So we do have an easement, an access easement that goes across that middle parcel there. That is the Hager Homestead conservation restriction. Mm-hmm. So we already have an access easement to get through there, to get a trail through there. And so, yes, this would be I believe it is a $55,500 request. And I think that was it.
No, is this one ADA also?
This one would also be ADA compliant. Yep.
Do you know how wide it is? Was that in the?
It may actually.
Does it say? I should have.
I think we included that. I could be wrong. It doesn't look like we included that in the.
So I'm not an, yeah. In terms of ADA, it would generally be the width and the slope that would be under. So I presume these are wider than they otherwise would be.
Yeah.
Yes, and you know, I'm sure that Jim O'Neill probably knows the answer to this question, even though his mic isn't working. I believe they both have to, or the boardwalks have to be wide enough so that two wheelchairs can pass each other at the same time, or it has to be a short enough distance. I think it could be a little less wide if it's a short enough distance. I think it's like after X amount of feet. If it's a boardwalk longer than that, it needs that to be that certain width. Whereas if it's shorter, then somebody can wait for the other person that's coming in their direction to use it for them to use it.
Now I was thinking like kids on bikes. I can imagine that there'll be a lot of kids with their bicycles.
Yep.
Trying to go over the trail. So I suppose that would be wide enough too if it was ADA.
Yeah.
So it's really just this little blue spot, right?
That's correct. Yep.
That's the only place you need a boardwalk. Isn't all this wetlands here behind the church and everything?
That is the only spot that we need a boardwalk. Yeah, I believe there should be an existing boardwalk towards the north side of the trail where it's on Hager Homestead CR.
Okay.
So this is really gratifying because the Hager Homes, when that property was developed, it was with the intention of having this trail connection to already extensive trails that are to the north. So this is great that we're going to accomplish this.
Anyone else have questions or comments?
Just like the last one, looks like this is also kind of you're waiting for some more quotes and same timelines.
Same thing, yeah. The same people that we requested quotes for the Webster Woods boardwalks, we requested quotes for the Castle and Trees boardwalks as well. So, if we need to wait if it's ideal to wait to the next meeting, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Since we're doing the wait for.
Yeah, I'm already going to be back, so might as well, right?
Yeah. No, I agree, Sanjay. All right. There are no other questions. We want to vote on this one? On the eligibility? Andrew?
Sure. I'll make a motion that the committee approve the eligibility of the Castle and the Trees Boardwalk proposal under the recreational category.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Andrew and a second by Jeff to approve eligibility. Linda?
Yes.
Carolyn's a yes. Bartlett?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Sanjay?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and then we'll wait on those two for the next time. Oh, Rob, you have a question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just a brief big thanks to Tim, to Lauren, to the Conservation Commission, to all of you, to Jim O'Neill, all the volunteers who have done all this work in the past. I want to thank you for your approval of the terrestrial invasives as well as consideration of these boardwalks and your upcoming next meeting, for continuation of that approval process. But thank you to all.
Okay, thank you for those words.
Thank you, Rob.
Tim, I think you're off the hook tonight.
Here we go.
That's
All
it.
right.
Thank you so much for your help on this, and we'll be
thank
in
you.
touch.
Honestly, thank you all. We really appreciate it, and have a good night.
All right, good night.
Thank you, Tim.
All right. So, Bartlett, do you want to be up next, or you want to talk about the track?
Well, I don't want to talk about the track, but
Neither, but all right. Well, why don't we do your?
I'm happy to talk about
Yeah, about the LRAP program.
The LRAP program, okay, it's, I included a statement that I think got distributed. It's I think, quite a successful program that the Littleton Affordable Housing Trust has been running for a number of years. To pay part of people's rents to the landlords. And there seems to be a fairly steady need for it in town. We've had a lot of turnover and expect more turnover this next year. But we also expect new applicants. So we have not spent all of the money that was allocated last year. There's about $71,000 left of that. So what I'm asking for is the $46,000 and change to bring us up to the $120,000 maximum of if we have 15 persons using or families using this program for the whole year. That's what it multiplies out to. We haven't gotten to that stage yet, but we want to be prepared. So I'm just asking. It's $48,613. And this is just the rental assistance program.
Anyone have any
So
questions on this one? I was trying to...
Sounds like it's been a successful program, and yeah, I'd love to see it keep going. And whatever Bartlett needs, he can have.
Quick, shut down the meeting. Shut down.
It sounds like a setup.
Yeah, you're right, Sam.
well, you heard Andrew, so let's get on with the vote.
Why don't we just talk about LRAP? Okay, and this is just the funding application, right? Because we've done.
Yeah, I think the eligibility I think was approved last time. So
yes,
this is actually asking for the real funding.
Yeah, so this is for the funding app. Someone want to do a motion?
I'll make a motion that the committee approve the funding application for the Affordable Housing Trust Rental Assistance Program in the amount of $48,613 to be taken out of the Community Housing Reserve.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Andrew, a second by Linda. Linda?
Yes.
Bartlett?
Yes.
Carolyn is a yes. Jeff?
Yes.
Sanjay?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
And Andrew?
Yes.
Okay. And that was Community Housing Reserve.
Thank you very much.
All right.
But wait, is there anything else we can get you, Bartlett?
Well, I expect a check at town meeting.
Yeah. Got a big check. All right. So this is the school track. This one admittedly surprised me a little bit, but I think, and Sanjay, you can chime in if you remember, they talked about this briefly at the Super Saturday. It came up. Some of you who were around before, this had come up, was it last year or 2 years ago? And we talked about it, and then the school was going to pay for it. So obviously that didn't happen, and they are back to us. Not that this is really exciting, but I will share my screen.
There was also a private donation.
Yes, then still is. There's about $40,000 that the Littleton Track Association has put aside for this project that they are going to use. I don't know. I'm not sure if there's more in the Track Association that we might be able to ask them for. We don't have school committee representatives here, but this is, and I'm a little confused because this is an eligibility request. I think he also means for this to be the funding request, although it's not, it's just the one form. Yeah, the whole project is 160. CPA funding requested would be 120. And this is to resurface the track. I think they're also going to be using some of their funds to do something with the infield. I think there's a pole vaulting, I don't know the terminology, but the little thing, you stick the pole in and go over. I think that needs to be fixed, but I think they're going to be doing that themselves. So what we would be responsible for is the track, as I say here, cracks and spider webbing of cracks in areas. They've contributed 40,000. That will go to project costs. This wasn't really that done up. So he mentions that he said the track is approximately 12 years old, in need of rubber surface being replaced and recoated. Yeah, here it is. The long jump. Sorry. There are 2 areas that they use rubber matting for the jump approach areas, and they would like to add the existing asphalt surface in those areas, similar to what's used on the track. Ensuring the integrity of the track service and keep the track available for community use, because I know it's open to the public. You can go walk on it when it's not being used by the school. So they want to make sure the track is in safe condition. It's used throughout the day and the weekends by community members. It's recommended a track be resurfaced every 10 to 15 years. The current condition of the rubber coating is starting to show signs of cracking and aging and should be resurfaced before major damage is done from water penetration through the track surface to the subsurface asphalt base. Annual maintenance is done following the manufacturer's recommendations. It's resurfaced 10 to 15 years, so we're right about in the middle of that if it's 12 years old. They're hoping to recoat it during the summer of 2026, so that would be right after town meeting, depending on the bid process and availability. About a 3 to 4 week process.
So Carolyn, I just happened to notice if this is just one that was submitted, one application on page 2, I guess they checked off historic.
I know. I saw they have.
There's an issue with there's an issue with the fillable application because I was trying this the other day. If you click the recreational box, it automatically lights up those other ones. Because initially I thought the same thing, like, wait a minute, this isn't a historical project or housing. So we'll have to somehow get that fixed.
Good to know. Yeah, so really it's just recreation.
Yeah, I'll see if I can talk to Nancy to maybe fix the fillable one because I think she made this one.
I think so. And I don't know if you noticed, I have them on our section of the website now. I have them somehow I figured out how to put them on there.
Good for you.
Yeah. So they if she can fix that copy, Andrew, so that they're still out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so we're going to assume that this is just a mechanical glitch and it's just recreation. Okay, I wondered that too. And then, so this is talking about project costs based on phone calls with the Cape and Island Track, who are a premier contractor in the New England area, who actually did the installation. Gave a verbal estimate of resurfacing the track of approximately 160 to 170,000, which would involve preparing the current surface, cleaning, removing any surface that cannot be recoated, and applying the surface materials using sprayer technology. Then the track lines would be repainted onto the surface. The Track Association donated about $40,000 to the department for a purpose of resurfacing. And these funds are raised through the annual road race held every year. which would lead you to believe that there's more money in there, but that's okay. Estimates are based on phone calls. The school committee is in support of the project.
Oh.
The community uses the track, wants to see the town asset kept in safe and usable condition for community members. I know at the Super Saturday, I kind of watched that portion of it. The finance committee didn't seem to have any objections to this the way they did the first time around. Sanjay, I don't know if you have any insight to that.
No, I was away. I was absent the last meeting, so
Yeah.
I'm not aware of all the discussions. But it did come up sometime back to maybe last year to
Mm-hmm.
don't recall the conversations at this time.
Yeah. I mean, I think last time it was the same dollar amount, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it was the same dollar amount.
Yeah. And I can't remember if we voted on eligibility back then or not, but we also have to decide whether if we want a formal, how bureaucratic do we want to be? Do we want to have him submit a funding application, or do we just take this eligibility request as both?
We do have precedent. Oh, sorry, Sam.
No.
Well, no, it's Jeff.
Sorry.
I think that I think we should be bureaucratic. It's a lot of money. I think it's a worthy project, but I would also like to say that I know the community does use it, apart from, the schools. And my 90-year-old father from California comes and uses it, and he thinks it's great. So anyway.
I mean, I kind of agree too. I think that they should be required to fill out the forms. Everybody else has to. We haven't really had a chance to ask them any questions either. We could vote on the eligibility, but we'll have to ask them to come back to the next meeting and present the funding application. And then if there are additional questions, we could ask him then, but
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I agree.
okay. So we do have the eligibility before us.
Just one quick question.
Yes.
The similar projects have been approved or kind of part of the CPC before?
That's a good question. I do have the database up here. Let me share my screen again. I should just.
Would the tennis courts be similar?
Yeah.
No, that's true. So if we select, let's just select like this. So this is the Community Preservation Coalition. This is the database. I'm going to assume it's recreation, and let's just put track. Search. So Amherst did a track replacement, track rehab in Bedford, track rehab in Carlisle, rehabilitate the field track. It looks like quite a few have. Reconstruction of associated track and field areas. So yes, I would say that this has been done by a lot of other towns.
All right, thank you.
No, it's always good to make sure that we're not creating something. Any other questions, or do we want to move ahead with the eligibility vote?
I make a motion that we approve the eligibility request for the track rehabilitation
From the recreational reserve?
from the recreational reserve.
I guess it doesn't really matter at this point, but yeah. Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
I think I saw Jeff's light go first. So we have a motion by Sam, a second by Jeff this is for the eligibility for the track resurfacing. Linda?
Yes.
Carolyn's a yes. Bartlett?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Sanjay? You can nod.
Yes.
Yes. Sam?
Yes.
And Andrew.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I will let Steve Mark know that and ask him to submit a funding app and present that at our next meeting. All right. So that wasn't so bad. All right. Bear with me for a little bit longer. The allocations, we need to vote in our allocations. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on doing things differently, if we want to do it the same.
So I'll just chime in that I did bring this up to the Historical Commission fairly recently, and they requested that we keep the same percentage for this year.
I should have just, so this is what we did last year. So this was the 1% surcharge for the different buckets. We had 40% open space, and then we kind of are a little unequal, but 18% for historic, 20 for housing, 21 for recreation, and then the 1% for admin, which all we again have used for is the coalition dues. So that money, if it's not expended at the end of the year, it goes into the undesignated fund. And that was for basically for the 1% surcharge and the blended funds. So we do the same percentage for the two of those. And then for the state match, we had 30% for open space, 15% for historic, community, and recreation, and then 25% for undesignated. So that's how we did it last year, and we can just do the same. We can, if we think something's going to need some extra money, we can. I don't know.
Is this allocation based on the needs or something else?
Not really. This is historically, this is about the same percentages. We fill open space with the bulk of it just because those projects tend to be bigger. Lately, recreation has been a little bigger, but nobody really wants to give up their percent. Like as Linda just said, we were thinking, well, maybe historic, we wouldn't have to take more than the 10% that's required. But, everybody wants some money in their buckets. Lately, what the undesignated reserve for the state match, we've been padding that a little bit because we were starting to use that for some bigger projects. So we wanted to consciously put some money into that. By statute, we have to put 10% into open space, historic, and community housing. But how we allocate it is up to us.
As I recall last year, the only change we made was pushing more into undesignated.
Yeah.
Once they are allocated, can they be moved around if there is a need?
No. Once it's allocated, it's in those buckets. But that's what the undesignated is flexible. That's why we put a little bit more in there.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to keep things the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think these numbers worked really well for us last year, and they meet our needs as far as we can tell, based on historical use. So yeah, I'd be in favor of keeping it the same as well.
And Sanjay, we're going to get some money for blended funds, right? You're going to be putting some money in from free cash, I think. I thought I wrote it down somewhere, but I can't seem to find it. I think that Fred Faulkner had told, that's in this notebook here. No, that's cemetery. I'll have to look for that. I think we will be getting some blended fund money in from the town again.
Okay.
Rob, do you have a question?
Yeah, I'm by no means an expert, but I guess if you're able to wait a month because Kate's not here, I think that the Shaker Lane School project is going to disrupt 3 baseball fields. I have no idea what's in the approved town meeting, for construction of that, but I will say that I'm concerned that the town's going to need baseball fields. Having said, and potentially looking for CPA reserves to assist. Maybe it's in the contracted monies and what's been approved. I don't know. Again, that's where I think Kate comes in. The other part that Kate comes in, I think, is that recently it was disclosed that the PRCE revolving fund has a significant balance that may be available to fund, and Park and Recreation is to prepare a policy pertaining to how to utilize those funds. So I just want to bring that up. I don't have the specifics, but I know Kate's not here today, and just wonder if that might be worthy of your consideration, or at least to revisit in a month if you make a motion tonight and approve something, potentially to revisit it if she has compelling statements.
That's a good point, Rob. And I think the other thing to keep in mind too is if Park and Rec did have a big capital project for fields, they could always borrow against future revenues and bond it out. So they wouldn't necessarily have to have that principal amount in there to take directly from. They could take a portion of it, or just borrow completely against future revenues, like other large projects.
Right. Yeah, and the buckets do have, significant reserves, and I'd really like to vote on this tonight, though, because our next meeting is just before the warrant closes, and I think we're going to have to work with getting the warrants. And Robin Healy and I have talked about sitting down earlier, because we always do this at the end. They have the articles written out and they're never correct. So we want to kind of make sure that we're all on the same page. So I'd prefer to vote on them tonight, but we could revisit it if there's some compelling reason.
That's good.
And I haven't heard from Park and Rec themselves, so I haven't heard of any. I don't think they have anything coming up for this year anyways.
I agree with you, Carolyn. Let's vote. I haven't heard any reason to change what we did last year.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion then for?
I'll make a motion that the committee vote the following percentage amounts for the projected 1% surcharge for fiscal year 27.
And blended funds.
In blended funds. For open space, 40%. Historic reserve, 18%. Community housing reserve, 20%. Recreation reserve, 21%. Administration, 1%, and undesignated 0. And then for the estimated state match, actually, let's do that separately, I suppose, right? Or do you want to vote it all in once?
Yeah. Why don't we do it in two? Okay, so we have. Do we have a second?
I second it.
So we have a motion by Andrew, a second by Linda, for the percentages for the 1% surcharge, which shows on the screen here. Linda?
Yes.
Carolyn's a yes. Bartlett?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Sanjay?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
And Andrew?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, step 2. So this would be for the state match. Recreation undesignated. Andrew, you want to do this one too?
Sure. So I'll make a motion that the committee vote the following percentages for the FY27 estimated state match among the categories. For open space, 30%. For the historic reserve, 15%. For the community housing reserve, 15%. For the recreation reserve, 15%. For administration, 0%. And for undesignated reserve, 25%.
Second,
Okay, we have a motion by Andrew, second by Bartlett for the estimated state match. Linda,
Yes.
Carolyn's a yes. Bartlett,
yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Sanjay,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
and Andrew.
Yes.
All right. Okay, oh, the minutes, did anyone get a chance to look over those minutes?
Just a quick question, Carolyn.
Yes.
Where did the $255 come in the administration? In the administration amount from the 1% surcharge over to the figures all the way on the right?
Oh, this, I don't know what this is. This,
The $255.
oh, yeah, don't look at that. That's,
Okay.
I think this is what was, oh, you know why? Because these were estimates. And I think this is what, the town actually put in. So it was a difference of $255.
Okay.
Yeah. So the mathematical gymnastics we have to go through to get our numbers all to match. So minutes. These were not fun. I had to rewatch that meeting, and that's, I mean, it's bad enough to sit through one, never mind to sit through it, watch yourself talk either. Did anyone have any? Obviously, I grabbed these from the AI version, so they were kind of weird, but
No.
No, I read them and I didn't have any problems with the minutes.
I didn't either.
And I think we have to get used to the AI versions.
yeah, as much as I hate it, it was,
Yeah.
it's really nice.
Yeah.
We do love the AI sometimes.
For this purpose, yes.
Yeah. All right, do we want to make a motion for these?
I move we accept the minutes from the whatever date meeting that was,
January 21st.
January 21st meeting.
Second.
Andrew. Okay, we have a motion by Jeff and a second by Andrew for the minutes. Linda,
Yes.
Carolyn's a yes. Bartlett,
Yes,
Jeff,
Yes.
Sanjay,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Andrew.
Yes.
All right. Okay. I think that's everything. Does anyone have any other projects they think are going to come through? Linda, did you have maybe something
We
coming?
may have, I won't really know until next week.
Okay, that's fine.
But we may have a couple of historic.
All right, that's fine. I mean, we'll see Tim back and we'll see the school back. So as long as we have some time to look them over, I think that should be fine. Does anyone else have any updates or anything?
housing may have a request at some point for a housing production plan for the town. And I'm not sure I'm gonna bring that to the committee next week. So we'll talk, the committee will talk about that then, whether we should do that and whether it should be housing or undesignated.
Is that different from what Maren gave us?
I think it's, yeah, I think it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, yeah, we voted on the eligibility tonight, so she's
Yeah.
yeah. We'll talk about that oh yeah, because we're gonna get the link. I'll send if she sends me the link, I'll send the link out to the current plan so we can look at it and just make sure we know what we're doing. And Bartlett, if you have any any wisdom to offer us, please do. In exchange for your big pot of money we approved for you.
Relatively small for me.
Although Andrew promised you a big pot of money, I think, right?
He has. He has.
Before we go, I want to ask Andrew, what is this? This has got to be a background, right?
Oh, this, yeah, no,
Yeah.
this is a
Because
background. Does it?
at first I'm thinking, where's Andrew sitting? And then
still-
I'm looking at the old telephone
Love it.
there, and
He's
I'm
very
going, there's a
retro.
hat, and
Hmm.
that's really great.
It's funny because a few people, when I initially added this background, were like, "Wow, where?" But then after a while, though, it's like, "Wait a minute, how is it still sunny out?" And wait, that clock hasn't moved. Like,
right.
there are subtle clues.
And does Andrew wear a hat? And
My coat and tie, coat and hat in the back, my typewriter,
Yeah.
various notes that are everywhere,
Yeah.
as you can see.
It would fit you if you put that fedora on. You'd mesh right in there, I think. Yeah.
1940s meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. No AI in 1940 though.
I don't know if we could do that then.
No. No. Well, thank you, everyone. I know this was kind of a long, I guess it wasn't as long as I thought. It's just very, just a lot of thought we have to put into it. But I think we'll be all right for this town meeting once the March program, and I will be here for the March program. My trip is a week earlier this year, so I was happy about that. So if anyone comes up with any more projects, in the next couple of weeks, because I'd like to be able to get them out for everybody to be able to look them over so we can ask questions, because our meeting is on Wednesday and I think the warrant closes the following Monday. So we don't have a lot of time to get anything, if we have questions or anything. So we'll want to kind of push that stuff through. All right. Anything else? Want to make the
That's
favorite
it.
motion of everybody's motions?
I move that we adjourn.
Second?
Okay.
I'll do Linda makes the motion and Jeff seconds.
fine.
Linda,
Aye.
Carolyn's a yes, Bartlett,
Yes.
Jeff,
Hi.
Sanjay,
Hi.
Sam.
If we have to.
You can stay on and talk
Yes.
if you want, Sam.
Yeah, no, that's a yes.
And Andrew.
Yes.
Okay, and thank you, Dave and Rob, for sticking around, and we'll see you next month.